Yo, 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 what's poppin', what's crack-a-lackin', what's really good? Thank you for listening to The Rope Break, your source for news, opinions, and everything else that revolves around the world of professional wrestling. It is I. My Stormtrooper helmet is so bedazzled that Seth Rollins would probably call me Sparkleface, Shockmaster Grizz, and I am here. I have the distinct pleasure, the honor, and the unexpected privilege of interviewing the owner of Pro Wrestling Academy, Connecticut, the sole operator for quite some time now. Her name's Kara. We're here at the school. This is super informal, but we just want to try to get everybody from PWA to throw in their 2 cents as it transitions to a different type of a company performance atmosphere. Kara, say hello.
Hello.
We actually haven't talked a whole ton off the record. A lot of times it's like, hi, I'm here for class, or hey, I'm here for the show. So I actually personally don't know a whole ton about your past and what kind of led you into the wrestling business. Do you want to give me like a quick little rundown of like when you started enjoying wrestling and what kind of made you want to be a part of it?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up watching wrestling with my grandfather and my uncle. So it was always very early on part of my life, part of something I really enjoyed. Back in like the Hogan days, and my favorite was always the British Bulldog.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he was always my favorite. To this day, Bulldogs are still my favorite dogs.
Okay.
But I grew up then, and as I got older, I kind of grew away, but then got back in with the whole Attitude Era. And right after I graduated high school, me and my sisters actually were into the indie scene, and we started helping out, flyering and stuff like that. So that was like 98, 99 back then. Met Jason Knight. He opened a school in Waterbury.
Assault? No, what was that called?
ACW.
Yeah.
It was Assault. Yep. And started helping him out a little bit. Met some of the people who I'm closest till today. Joseph Von Schmidt, Pete, and Bull Dread. Met them back then.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's no surprise to anybody. Married Joseph Von Schmidt, was married for many years. He's still my best friend to this day. Still business partners here at PWA too. But then from there, we built PWA together.
Okay.
I believe it was 2001 when we started actually running shows.
Oh wow.
It was maybe 2002. But it was a while back, and then we took some time off from it, and then eventually the school started up in New Haven, shows started back up. And
now, how long ago did the school in New Haven open?
I think it was 2008, if I remember, between 2008 and 2010 in that time.
Well, for anybody listening who doesn't necessarily understand this, you've seen me write about it on Facebook, I've begged you to come to shows. The thing about PWA is that people say to me all the time, like, oh, there's wrestling schools in Connecticut. This place, people have come through here. People have recently had WWE Performance Center tryouts. If you watch Lucha Underground, AR Fox, Connecticut's own, the guy he's in a prominent role on that television program. Leo Rush just signed with NXT. He was in Ring of Honor. He's come through these doors. Like, all these guys have really, made a big impact in the business in general and came through PWA. So, knowing all of that, right, and kind of looking towards the future where the facility that the school is in right now, it's essentially the school's closing, at least for the time being.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Can, obviously, it's just a building, the PWA itself as an entity exists in the minds and hearts of the fans and the performers and the administrative people like yourself. Mm-hmm. What role do you kind of see PWA playing going forward as the school itself that runs day-to-day classes closes, at least for the time being?
I think what it'll do is it'll bring us back to just a company for right now, not necessarily the school aspect, but just as a company. PWA in itself will never die. I would like to find a good facility, a good building that we could run shows out of. I don't know how long that'll take me. Don't know when it'll be. It could be 2 months. It could be a year. I can't give a definite time frame, but I don't plan on not running shows.
Absolutely.
in my heart and in Pete's too. I know that. So.
Absolutely. Now, you had a unique challenge. Obviously, if you have a head trainer and co-founder of an establishment who leaves, Pete moved to Atlanta. So not only did you have to take on the role of sole administrator, but you also had to do this as a woman, which, I know that you're a very capable woman. I've seen you run this company from both sides, from the audience, from, in the ring doing things. What specific challenges first, just in starting to take on all that responsibility on your own, and then additionally afterwards, can you kind of fill us in on like how much more challenging it might be for a woman to do in a role that is predominantly male?
My perspective on that is that I believe that sometimes women aren't given enough credit in wrestling still for having the knowledge that we possibly could have. The way we always ran PWA was Pete was the main brain. He has a great mind for wrestling. He was the one who would build together matches. Then we would kind of collaborate on stuff. But that was always his part, and I was always the behind the scenes, which I enjoy. I've always done music. I've always done the videos that we used to do. I would always run the front door, the merchandise. So I would always kind of tie up that stuff, which I want to say is probably more seen as like a woman's role, like doing the merchandise, doing the door, doing that kind of stuff, because I do see a lot of women doing that at shows. Kind of like a support role. So now when Pete left to go to Georgia, he told me ahead of time, my first response was like, I'm not going to let PWA close. I'll take it over. I will do whatever I have to. And I knew he would always support me. But now I also had to learn to run the shows by myself, which I've never done before too. And I was never great with psychology or anything like that. So people knew this. Everybody knew that. As I wasn't the one who dictated matches. I could help with it, but it was always go to Pete, go to Von Schmidt for, what's going to happen, this and that. So now with my role changing, I also had to learn psychology. And that was the first thing I said to Pete was like, if you're leaving, I need to learn. So I started studying matches. I started trying to figure out how to put together matches. Still got a ton to learn, but I know a heck of a lot more than when he left last year. With what I do know, I still feel that I don't get as much credit for people thinking that I do know why something should be in a match. I do know why a placement of a move is off in a match or something like that. Have I done it? No. I can't tell you how to necessarily correct the way you're doing that wrong in a match, but I could tell you that it doesn't look right and why I feel it doesn't look like based on a certain reason that I've learned.
So as like the structure and the storytelling of the match, you mean, not necessarily in the exact execution of the move?
Yes, I will never admit to knowing how to train. I don't even like getting in the ring because I'm not trained. I believe that only people should be in the ring are training or trained because it's a very serious thing. You could easily get hurt.
One thing Pete said to me was awesome. He said, that ring is made out of steel and wood and steel.
And steel, yes.
And it doesn't want to hurt you, but it won't not hurt you either.
That's definitely one of his famous lines. But I agree with that. And I think maybe because I don't go in the ring, people don't understand that, but I just think just in general, people don't, I guess, expect a woman to be in charge.
Sure.
I've had guys come through that were booked by me online, because a lot of the stuff goes through Facebook and stuff like that, that will come, shake everyone's hands, and walk right by me. Which, you go to a proper school, you're taught to shake everyone's hands, but they literally will just walk right by you because they see a woman and assume that you have nothing to do with it.
Wow.
And then I will literally walk up to him and be like, hi, I'm Kara, I'm the owner. Nice to meet you.
Wow. That's so funny.
And
this big muscly guy is just like, whoa, whoa.
and I'm not doing it because I expect anyone to give me anything like that, but just proper etiquette that I know that should be taught in wrestling too.
Absolutely. So all of that said, I guess you can go on the record or you cannot, but who are some of the folks? Obviously, Hippie and Moonshine, who do all the training now. Bulldred, who's also he's the head trainer, and all these guys who are still around. Who are some of the cats that you would say you're most proud of from over the years?
From over the years, honestly, those two of those guys are Hippie and Moonshine.
Yeah.
I've seen Hippie come from a shy little kid, still has his little shy moments, but he learned directly under Von Schmidt. He trained directly under him. And a lot of the stuff that I see, the way he's trying to pick up is kind of basing off that. But it's brought him out of his shell a little bit and stuff like that. But I'm very proud of him. Same thing with Moonshine. I see a lot of Von Schmidt's training in him too. And I see definitely like heart come out of those two. I'm trying to think of who I have now. Like even Carr. Carr tries very hard. You know, he's come a long way since he's been with us. He tries very hard.
It's funny because these are guys that I know. You know, I started maybe 3 summers ago. You know, with my first like stint, and it was during the daytime a lot, and I wasn't in the main classes where everybody was. It was like me and one of the trainers at the time. So, you know, I can definitely relate to seeing Hippie go from like short hair and kind of like hi, you know, to like, you know, independent or international champion of the company, face of the company for the most part. Is there anybody, because you, as an institution, it's been around since like 2001. So is there anybody from like even back then, like who I would have no idea who that was unless you, yeah?
Well, I mean, that went back that far. We didn't have the school back then.
Okay.
But we had the company back then. I mean, even back then we had Azrael with us.
Right.
He's been with us since from the get-go.
Right.
I
mean, he's been in Ring of Honor. He's been featured in
he's
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. He trained in Japan. You know, he really got himself out there, does very well. We've had him training here since Pete left too, which was very nice. A lot of the guys got to learn under him for a bit. Okay. So very helpful. But that's definitely one of the guys. EC Negro was with us back then.
Okay.
King of New York. He was back with us then too. Even someone like Dredd. Dredd's come a long way since I first met him, and from years ago, maybe a year and a half ago when he lost all that weight and everything like that too. But like most importantly now too, I think it's the newer students. Like when you see like the heart that's being put in, like, because now you see like, you know, the training levels going down, and you see like the new students that are putting everything into, you know, what you have. And it's nice to me to see that like we're still building up, you know, that same kind of passion in people too, always.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I love mixing it up with all these kids who are in here, and it's, again, I'm in a weird spot where I trained almost to the point of debuting, and then like had some time out, and then I'm back, and you know, I'm just in there with these kids who are brand new, and it's just so nice to see like how much they love it. You know, Eli especially is a good kid. All these guys. What I wanted to throw in there actually, and I didn't want to interrupt you, and then the conversation kind of drifted off, was what you're talking about with psychology and how you have a really good understanding of how to tell the story and what's going on. Well, we're doing this this student showcase, this Next Gen match for Friday Night Fights, and you know, I know that the trainers are you know, putting a lot of it together, but like your input has been invaluable into that entire process as well. How much of like a Friday Night Fights would you say like you have already come up with ahead of time? You already know how the arc of the story is going to go. Do you book like an entire show top to bottom to tell one continuous story? Do you go match to match?
It depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the show. Friday Night Fights are a little different because we don't necessarily have the same wrestlers from week to week or from, you know, show to show. So sometimes it would be good, but if I knew that I had 2 certain guys on a show, I knew that we could definitely continue their storyline. Or I could use, say, when you have the infamous Injustice League, I can use one of those guys from the faction to continue the storyline, like when we had the stuff going on with Hippie and Cage. Hippie and Az also have a huge history of disliking each other. So it's easy to mix up, you know, the hatred from a group with, you know, like one other person. And so I could book like that. But other times I would have guys that came in, you know, once or twice, and it would just be fun to mix it up with, you know, guys that you didn't think you'd be able to pair together, or I mean, if you look back, one of the things I'm proudest of is from last year's Tough 8, we had a battle royal match, I believe it was last year, and there was a double pin, and it ended up being Sebastian Cage and Montekia that advanced into this year's Tough 8.
Yeah.
We were able to continue an on and off storyline with them throughout a whole year. And then the culmination came at the 2017, where it ended up being
them in the final.
Yes.
Yeah, that was epic.
And Monty getting the Tough 8 win.
Yeah.
So we were able to, like, even though they weren't here every show, we were able to continue that on and off. And in different situations, too, where, like, you know, they would take it out on Caveman, Monty's partner.
Sure.
So it was able to continue storylines that way, but also be able to, like, mix it in with different talent and stuff like that. So it kept it, like, interesting for the crowd, too, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, no, as an audience member, it was certainly interesting to me. Now, with you know, the transition into more of just a promotion as opposed to including all of the students in the school and stuff, how do you see these characters and storylines maybe, do you see the continuation of everything that's happened in the last 2 years of Friday Night Fights?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think as we progress to doing different shows, we'll still be able to carry on, you know, the Injustice League. But there was the last show we saw Pena just won the title from Dan the Man.
Which was awesome.
I mean, I don't think that storyline's going to end anytime soon. I don't think Dan's going to, you know, drop it that quickly. You know, so like there's definitely great opportunities where we have, you know, we have the tag titles, the Super Savages have the tag titles. You know, we have a lot of good tag teams that'll be wanting to go for them. We have, you know, Above the Influence.
Yeah.
I know they're friends. I know Hippie and Moonshine love them, but I'm sure they would want the title. So there's definitely different storylines we'll be able to advance onto the shows when we do have them.
You know, that it brings to mind another question I was going to ask, and this one's kind of a little less, this one's kind of on the cusp of what you want to say and don't want to say, but...
I'll say whatever you want. Feel free to ask.
So there's a contingent of guys who are either doing really well for themselves or not doing anything, who've been around and have even had a lot to do with the day-to-day at PWA who are no longer with the company. And then you have guys from New York or even Pennsylvania or New Jersey who still drive all the way here. I know there's not a whole lot of money to go around for the wrestlers, not because of anything other than the fact that it's just not, you
Because
know,
it's indie wrestling, yes.
wrestlers don't make a ton of money, you know. So how do you create and instill the loyalty in these guys who are from so far away? You know, when there's obviously some malcontents who can come through and not stick around.
I mean that's kind of a hard question.
Well, somebody like Pena, right,
yes.
or like Montekia and Caveman, they're coming at least from New York, right?
Those are all from New York, yes.
And they always come.
Yes.
And they're always here, and they love it, and they're so happy here, and it's not a ton of cash. So, what do you think kind of creates that loyalty in somebody who really otherwise wouldn't have much of a reason to drive so far to not get paid a ton of money?
I mean, I believe that we have a great atmosphere here for everybody. We do try to continue storylines, which is something that people like. People that aren't here right now that might have been around for a while, usually there's a reason behind that.
Right.
That's usually not, well, I'm going to up and go today and decide to go do. Usually there's something behind that. And usually when you have a school that can be kind of tight-knit like us, people argue, people will fight, stuff will happen. A lot of times that's kind of why people come and go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Sometimes people go on to greener pastures, and that's great. You know, I'm happy for when that happens. I'm very happy for the people that have done that. I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of bitter people that hasn't happened to either, but that will happen in life in general. But I just think overall, like, from the get-go, Pete and I wanted to build this as, like, more of a family atmosphere, and I believe that a lot of the people that come in see that. I believe that they, like I've gone to other companies that are very disorganized. I don't let this place be disorganized. Pete has never let this place be disorganized. You know, when you come in, you know what you're doing. Everything's all set up ahead of time. That's something I'm always dead set on. There's good communication always between us and the wrestlers. You know, we're kind of always there for each other. We check on each other. So I do really think that makes a difference. The Friday Night Fights concept, which was thought up by Pete, and you know, with people around the ring drawing random numbers, that was pretty unique. Like there was no one doing it at that time, and it got around to the point where like I had like people contacting us, you know, to come to drive 6-7 hours to come do the show.
Wow.
And literally being like, you guys are very well known. People want to come to your show, like
That's
that
awesome.
kind of concept. So it's good to hear, but I think it revolves around the people too. Like I said, we always wanted it to be more of a family atmosphere, more of a caring atmosphere. And there's a lot of places you go where you don't get that.
Sure, that makes sense. this actually for everybody at home, Kara made sure that I could referee a match for Tito Santana yesterday, which is pretty awesome. But that show yesterday, it was organized. The ring was 2 hours late, and there's a lot of stuff going on that I don't think would have happened here. But
unfortunately, that could have happened here.
Yeah, sure.
But it's we actually did have a situation like that happened last year where we had a show, and I think it was one of my first shows doing it, where we were going to be taking the ring up to a campground, and I went to go get the truck. I was with Xander Litt, and someone never brought back the truck. We had no truck to get the ring up there.
Huh.
So we literally we ended up finding a truck in like New Britain, getting it really late, getting up there late, but everything ended up getting worked out. So stuff like that does happen. But like as you saw yesterday, everybody came together too. That's the nice thing about indie wrestling is everybody's usually always very supportive and helpful. Yeah. So when you get guys that are just going to grab the ring, grab whatever they can, put stuff together, like that's what we did too. Then we had like Monty and Caveman. We had those guys here from New York too. That way, at that point, we're just like, we'll go and we'll just set it up and get it done.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you most looking forward to going forward? Like, I understand that it won't be the day to day. The students won't be in here seeing you every day. But what are you really looking forward to as the transition happens and as the promotion PWA continues to grow in different ways?
I guess honestly, I'm not looking forward to the school closing because it is a huge part. But I'm not going to also say that we never will have a school in the future. So I think that if that does happen, I will look forward to that because I feel like there's a lot that I now know that I can, put into getting a great building and stuff like that too. I'm looking forward to future shows and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to, I guess at this point, seeing how everybody still progresses on their own. Because there's obviously guys that still need a lot of training. And if I can help, with anything with that, I'm going to with anybody I might know in the area that does train. But like, I'm still looking forward to Hippie's future, Moonshine's future, your future, how everyone's going to progress. Like, it's like I said, it's a family. So like Pete and I have always saw the students as our kids. Mm-hmm. Like the school I always call my baby, but you guys are like our kids.
Oh, so. Thanks, Kara. Is there anything that having an open forum, not that like everyone and their mother is going to listen, but for the people who are listening, as who are interested in what's going on with the school and whatnot, is there anything like specific that you just want to say?
Not per se, I guess. I think it's unfortunate the way that everything has happened where we're closing now. Obviously, it wasn't of our doing. We've, kind of put a statement saying that, it was unfortunately our landlord that kind of tied our hands and, we had to make a decision. This is a decision we came to at this point. Mm-hmm. But, I guess I just want to thank everybody, too, from the trainers to the students to everybody that's ever come in because, I always say that wrestling is like the biggest love-hate relationship I've ever had, and it is, because there's so much I love about it, but there's still at the time so much I hate about it. But I guess I just want to thank everybody because everyone just ultimately adds a little piece into my life that I get to take with me. So.
Nice. Well, I know for one, I know that I'll find places to train, but I'm dying to hear that you guys find somewhere to at least, put a ring up and have a few students. I know Dred's been doing a phenomenal job as the head trainer. Mm-hmm. And, I'm looking forward to hearing more. And I actually really looking forward to the fact that you're still putting on these shows because I swore this whole time I've just been like waiting until I was ready to wrestle for a PWA show. Like, mm-hmm. I'm not, I think for a lot of people, actually, it's a lot of these people are not going to go to WWE. Like, they're not even necessarily trying to, and they're giving all of what they want to do to you and Pete and Bull. So I'd consider myself one of those, and I'm really happy to hear that there will be more shows going forward and that everything's, going according to plan.
Yeah, and something we've always done that Pete's always, made sure that we've always done too is putting our students first. Like once you guys are in a position to be working shows, to be everything like that, as long as you're willing to put in the effort and the hard work, any of the students, we're always willing to put you on shows and to push you and to do anything we can to help. So that's going forward. I do definitely look forward to that too, is being able to see, students progress onto our shows too.
Good.
So,
Anything else at all that you have?
no,
Do you
that's
feel like
a lot more talking than I've ever done publicly for anyone. Like I said, I'm always the behind the scenes. So,
Well, that was terrific. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope that gives anybody who's interested kind of more insight into what the school has been and what it will be going forward. Thank you very, very much.
thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.